Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and welcome to No Budget Reviews, the series where we go around the country finding cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and filming them with absolutely no money at all. So we have to use my phone, no microphones, no fancy DSLRs, nothing like that. Just good honest cars that you can buy for very little money and you can enjoy driving. Well, welcome to a very special episode of No Budget Reviews. This is a 2004 Citroen C3 1.1 Desire, and the reason we're filming this today is because, well, we've run out of money. We've entirely run out of money, and I'm here with Mr Coleman, rubbish mechanic, and he's had to find something to get him to work because the logbook for his Rover 620 didn't come back for a while. So he decided to go out and splash out, and for £50 he bought this car. Actually, I don't know where he is. He seems to have gone somewhere. Oh, what are you doing up there, sir?
Well, it's the best way to view this car because you can't really see much of it. You know, and I'm just testing the structural rigidity of it.
Yes, we'll be testing a few other things out at the moment, but just so everyone's clear, this car cost £50. Mr Coleman's uncle is an MOT tester, and of course an MOT costs £50. If you are a tester, you have to pay £40 to the government every time you put a car through. So yes, it used to be called the Desire, it's now called the Undesirable. So if this car, when its MOT will be due in November or whatever it is, this is a taxed and tested car. Just so you're aware, this isn't something that we're going to be driving illegally today or anything. It's fully road legal. But if anything is actually needed for this car to put it through an MOT, other than just turning up to the station, you can understand that actually that's not economical to do. So since the logbook did come back for his Rover, Mr Coleman and I will be putting this car through a series of austerity challenges. And we should be having a lot of fun doing it. Now, some of the stuff we're going to be doing is not going to be on a public road. Just so you're aware, Mr Coleman is a very experienced driver, holding, you know, more letters after his name in terms of driving than someone who's got a PhD does. So whatever, if we're doing something that's a bit stupid, well, we're going to be on private land doing it. Obviously, standing on the roof of the car, we're on private land. When we go for a little jolly, well, we will be driving on the road, but there will be a section that's actually not on private land where we'll be doing something that I don't recommend you do. But first of all, let's see what you get for your £50. A nice French warning buzzer, and some rather dubiously dirty seats. That is really annoying. Is that because the key's in? And it's the same kind of Citroen Peugeot key that you get in loads of other cars of this type. I think it's safe to say, viewers, that most of you probably already know I'm not a massive fan of French cars, despite the fact I have a degree in French. And I have French family. My great-grandfather was... Sorry, my great-grandmother was actually French. So there we go. It's a more modern interior than the Saxo, which shares a few mechanical components with one of these, and also the Peugeot 206. But I don't know. You just sort of get it and close the doors, and it just doesn't feel very robust. I mean, this car's done just under 80,000 miles. It's 16 years old. It's not actually in as bad condition as I thought it would be. It's okay. 5-speed manual gearbox in this. Big contrast from the last car I drove, the Proton Savvy, on No Budget Reviews. That had a nasty cable clutch in it, but the gearbox doesn't feel very nice. Oh, okay. I don't like this steering wheel either. It feels a bit nasty. Same kind of column stalks you get on lots of Peugeots of the era. You bear in mind, viewers, you know, this this car for £50, I think is pretty good. You know, it's got air conditioning, which I'm not sure works anymore. It's got interesting interior styling. Feels quite airy in here as well. I don't like driving position particularly, but some people probably do. And this being the Desire model, or Mr Coleman's written Undecide on it, which is a bit naughty, really shouldn't have done that. I think we've actually got some digital instruments in here as well, which is it's interesting. Let's put that in there. Yeah, it's just interesting enough seeing those sort of things. And the clock actually works. And it actually gives me a little error message like that. You'll remember, viewers, many of you who've been watching the channel for a long time, that back in February 2019 we filmed a review of a Peugeot 207, and I didn't particularly like it. So it's quite possible that this might come under some scrutiny. Oh dear. Stay there, 1 second. Ooh, I was going to sit in the back, but it looks like there's a bit of biohazard in here, so perhaps we won't do that. Let's just let the door close itself. Let's give it a help, and let's look in the boot. Apparently it's about 300 litres or something in here. That's actually quite a big boot for this size of car. It's much bigger than a City Rover or a Proton Savvy, and the parcel shelf actually stays attached. I mean, that's an advantage. The sort of card underneath here is gone. I think the spare wheel is gone at some point, but never mind, you know. Don't need a spare wheel in an MOT, do you? Nor some head restraints, apparently. So one of the common problems with these cars is the rust. I mean, someone's had to go at repairing this in the past, and they haven't even bothered repainting it. I mean, obviously that's where they rust, and like a lot of cars of this period, you know, even kind of Japanese cars do. That MX-5 I reviewed had lots of rust patched up in the past and done pretty well. This not so well, but you've got to bear in mind that this costs less than a nice meal for two. So what can you really say? Now, viewers, this is the point where I'd normally just on my own pop the bonnet, but we've got some problems with this particular car. And the bonnet release, yeah. Oh, it works. Okay. So underneath the bonnet, Mr Coleman, you just obliged, I've only got one hand here. We have the really venerable Peugeot Citroen TU series engine, which, you know, can trace its lineage back to the pre-Cambrian period. Oh, don't need that, sir. Just get rid of that. Don't need that. Oh, ooh. Maybe we do. Yes, the bonnet prop is actually there, and there it is. The cam cover's a bit rusty. Obviously, on a TU series engine, do make sure you change the cam belt at regular intervals, because we might be demonstrating later on what happens if you don't change your cam belt on your Citroen C3. Yes. Because you know, that's pretty bad. It's a little bit more cramped in here than I imagined it would be. Probably the sack, so it's a bit easy to work on. But I mean, this is TU engine is based on the suitcase engine. It was based on an even older engine. So I mean, this thing's been around for donkey's years. They're generally not that bad engines. They do blow head gaskets and things like that, but actually they're not bad. Certainly, comparison with the Prince engine that came after this one, and you don't find in a C3 anyway. It's actually not too bad. But yes, this one I'm not sure is going to be long for this world, I'm afraid, viewers. I hate to tell you. But yes, it's served Mr Coleman for a couple of weeks whilst he was, you know, waiting for his logbook to come back. So what can we say, really? One thing I will just quickly point out before we go for a little drive is the fact we have got twin glove boxes in this car. And, you know, that's not bad. We've got dual airbags as well, and probably with you know, enthusiastic driving we'll be doing on some private land, we have a reassurance of twin airbags should anything go wrong. Yeah, Mr Coleman is currently driving. we've had a slight issue with the brakes. In an effort to make the brakes a bit more workable, they've been adjusted, and we actually think the master cylinder is
just failed.
Is failing or has failed. So you might not see too much of me driving this, but what I'm going to just tell you is that there were 4 main engines available in the Citroen C3. There was a 1.1 like this, which developed about 60 horsepower, although this has been adjusted to be about 70 or so. There we are, some fine handbrake action with Mr Coleman, so we can stop. There's also 2 1.4s, an 8 valve with 75 horsepower, and then a 16 valve version of the same engine with 90 horsepower. Top of the range, of course, there was the 1.6 with 110 horsepower. There are also some HDI diesels, which contemporary reviews of the car will tell you were the best engines, although, you know, because we don't talk about diesels on this channel, that won't be true. Yeah, so those are the main engines in a C3. This is a Desire, which is kind of, you know, somewhere in the middle of the range. You can hear the suspension's not in the kind of first flush of youth in this car. We've got broken springs and CV joints for going, and you know, all sorts of things. And you know, I've been driving over speed bumps, not, you know, not in illegal speeds by any means, but not as carefully as I normally do. And you know, now we've got this problem with the master cylinder of the car, for which Mr Coleman is using the handbrake to bring us to a nice safe stop. We should be careful on the way back, and then of course we will be going to some private land to probably say bye-bye to most of his car, and then right at the end we'll be showing you a demonstration of what happens when you don't change your cambelt on time.
Yes, basically I'm just going to destroy the engine for you.
You know, nice practical things we do on No Budget Reviews, and bear in mind, as I said before, this car cost £50. It's going to be more work than that to change the brake master cylinder for one thing, let alone everything else. And so, you know, the values of these cars being what they are, it probably makes more sense to actually send this to the scrapyard. And of course, we might as well give you a demonstration of you know, what happens and have some fun rather than just weighing it in. So we'll see you in a little while, viewers, back on some private land. That's a post-facelift C3 just there. We're in a pre-facelift one. The car lasted from 2002 to 2009. We're almost back. Mr Coleman's been doing his best cadence braking and using the handbrake to make us stop, so we're all nice and safe. But given the litany of problems this car has, it's not going to be long for this world. And you know, I'm not. Yes, we're just testing out a rev limiter, as you can hear. We have to actually use the windows to have ventilation because we've got no heater knob here either. So having a noisy journey back, and we think this car's not going to be long for this world anyway. I've had to stop driving it because it was too dangerous. Mr Coleman, the expert here, of course, much better qualified than me, which is why he's driving. But we shall be back to you shortly. Well, viewers, we had an interesting trip back from Halford to buy a part for my Rubber 45 V6. Appears the brakes have got a little bit warm. Yes, that was entertaining on the way back, that.
So you're not buying this car, mate?
You know, on No Budget Reviews,
Not 50 quid off that.
no, on No Budget Reviews, this is what we do, so you don't have to. Common Citroen C3 issue, and somebody has just done the worst repair known to man, because when you hit it with a hammer, it all falls out.
Can we have a look at the other side while we're at it?
Well, exactly, Mr Coleman. Let's just see what happens when you hit it.
Ready?
Yep. Is that just filler?
It's all filler.
Is that can't be legal, surely, sir?
No, that's a dodgy repair.
Yeah, we've been joined by a couple of Mr Coleman's friends who used to own several of the other cars you've seen on No Budget Reviews. We're just doing some cosmetic improvements, and it's
Get your phone.
Oh my god.
do you know, for the entertainment factor alone, this car, obviously, as we said, it costs less than a Christmas meal at the pub.
Yes, it is.
So I think we're getting pretty good value out of this. Someone who has tested this car for an MOT, Mr Coleman, has not done it properly.
No.
And that was not you or
No,
your uncle.
no.
Just for the record.
Oh, got a war wound.
A war wound.
Well, we better. There you go. Cautionary tale. If you attack,
That's why you're not allowed sharp bits on cars.
if you attack the rear of Citroen C3 with a hammer that's been filled with what looks like, is that bathroom sealant or something like that?
Yeah.
That's what happens. A cautionary tale for all. Well, viewers, the brakes have cooled down. They've been adjusted, so there won't be a problem anymore. Mr Coleman is just going ahead of me to show me the way to go. We're going to head for some private land, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. So I won't be driving very fast. I'm going to drive quite modestly. As you might have seen in some of the footage we've just done, the sills in the car are not in a great condition, and all I can say to people who say, oh, I want you to find me a really cheap car. Cars tend to be cheap for a reason, and you know, if you could stretch your budget a little bit higher to get something a bit better, I really would suggest you do that, because somebody has put bathroom filler and expanding foam in the sills of this car. The sills are shot all the way along, and this car should have been scrapped a long time ago. And you know, Mr Coleman having, you know, an uncle who is an MOT tester, and himself having been an MOT tester until quite recently, you just get what, you know, you get what you pay for to a certain extent. And unless you really know what you're doing and you know exactly what you're looking at, you can end up like something like this. And I am just going to reiterate, I am perfectly kind of legal what I'm doing. This car has a valid MOT. It is taxed, it is insured, and I am going to drive it quite gently, even though we've really not got a lot of power. This 1.1 TU engine with 60 brake horsepower and you know, associated noises that go with it really doesn't feel like it could pull the skin off a rice pudding. I've had to get used to really pushing my foot down to make any progress. 0 to 60 in this car is about 15.4 seconds. Mr Coleman's actually made this car a little bit faster by just removing the restrictor screw on the throttle. Miles per gallon officially, it said on the old NEDC cycle, that was around the sort of 45 to 50 mile per gallon mark, but I'm not sure you get that most of the time though, because you'd be absolutely thrashing this car to make it go as fast as it needs to go. So if you are going to buy one of these cars, and you know, I'm not a massive fan of these, to be honest, apart from the fact that the clutches and gear change are much nicer than I thought they actually would be, then just don't go for this engine, go for at least 1.4. Another thing I would say, the driving position in this car is really not very good. I feel very kind of upright in it, and it's not that comfortable. The seats are sort of seem to be very soft but uncomfortable all at the same time. Steering doesn't feel particularly good. It feels a bit disconnected from the wheels. I think it's an electric system in this car. It's easy enough to park though, I have to say. And yes, it's all right. I mean, if I was doing a proper review of this car, even on No Budget Reviews, then it would be great. But then again, this is 50 quid. What on earth is there to complain about? It's absolutely hilarious. I mean, everybody should try having one of these cars, like a £50 car, at least once in their life, and just have some fun. You know, why not? At the end of it, this car is definitely not going to pass another MOT. It's not worth repairing this car. It's definitely going to go and be scrapped and be made into something a lot more useful at the moment, because at the moment we just really don't want this getting into the hands of someone who might be, you know, transporting their children and things in it. That doesn't really sit very well with me. Right. Whoa, body roll. Whoa. That was at 22 miles an hour, viewers. Anyway, enough of that. Just following Mr Coleman along to private land, because I'm not 100% sure where I'm going. But yes, lovely, lovely Rover 600. Lovely. When he's going to oblige me by stopping at the lights, so that yeah, the brakes are working just fine. You can see that lovely, lovely Richard Woolley designed rear end. I just like to remind you, viewers, that I am on private land. Do not do this on the public road. Wow, I could smell that clutch from here. What a fantastic car. Well done, Mr Coleman. As you can see, viewers, we're going to simulate a cambelt failure to finish this little car off. I'm just going to stand well back. Got a standing knife on the belt. This is what happens if you don't change your cambelt. Oh, it's spraying, it's spraying. That's spraying. Oh, it's back to... Oh! Okay. This is what happens when you don't change your cambelt on time, viewers. Being sprayed by that knife. So we're driving along the motorway, not changed the cambelt, going along, making horrible noises. Oh. Have we actually got
a strong cambelt, that is.
It's a Gates cambelt, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's do it the easy one.
Well, viewers, we can recommend Gates timing belts because they are ultra strong. So if I just stand back here, we can use a bit of gentle persuasion.
Dead.
And that's what happens, viewers, if you don't change your cambelt on time. It's turned off. Restart. Oh, that's bad. Oh. This TU engine is now, I think, I would say, dead. That, Mr Coleman, is a wrap.
Thanks very much. Unsafe vehicle now off the road. I know it was a laugh. I know it's a little bit ridiculous, but we've simulated a cambelt failure. You've seen what it does to the engine. It's completely trash now. It's not going to be going anywhere. It's actually going over the weighbridge on Tuesday morning.
And you can see what somebody had done to sort of fill the sills in the past. So, you know, somebody had done a very, very dodgy repair on it. Yeah. Actually, this is a pretty unsafe car, and we're pleased to have had our fun, but in all seriousness,
it's glad it's off the road. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's pretty bad. So there we are. Well, there we are, viewers. That's what happens when you pay less money for a car than you do for a three-course Christmas meal at a pub. Can I recommend you buy yourself a Citroen C3? I suppose so. I mean, for £50, what an absolutely fantastic car. It seems to be okay in terms of the steering. I have driven the car, and unfortunately we weren't filming at the time, but the gearbox actually is all right. The clutch and the clutch actually feels really nice. It's a hydraulic clutch rather than a cable clutch in it. The brakes, unfortunately, haven't really stood up very well, but that's because of them being adjusted a little way. It's quite roomy in here. You could wear a top hat or something. But yes, sadly this car is no longer with us, and it was fun while it lasted. That's all I can say. Anyway, I suppose that's it for our special austerity edition of No Budget Reviews. Please don't forget to, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Please leave a comment, you know, if you enjoyed yourself. Hopefully you did. I've got an Instagram page, instagram.com/Lloyd_vehicle_consulting, and Facebook as well, facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you.